Us. We are sports. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a town square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios. What a move! Here's Josh Hennig.
Tuesday edition of Game Night, the first Tuesday of the month of August. And we're still waiting confirmation, but it's at least for the moment looking like that after 6 p.m., the Phillies may have let down their fans. Now, according to Bob Nightingale, longtime MLB reporter, he says that there could still be trades trickling in for the next 30 minutes past the deadline, but I will get you the latest on what the Phillies have done and my thoughts on it right here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. I'm kind of just scanning the information out there right now, but the latest on the Phillies is after they acquired Michael Lorenzen earlier from the Tigers, who's an all-star pitcher and a guy who definitely adds some significant depth to this team. Jason Stark from The Athletic is reporting that the Phillies are closing in on a deal for infielder Rodolfo Castro in exchange for Bailey Falter. Now, unless you were like intensely watching the Pirates either this past weekend or at all this season, Rodolfo Castro is basically a younger version of Josh Harrison. He's a guy who plays all the main infield positions, second, short, and third. He's got a little pop in his bat. He's nothing special. He's got 6 home runs in 78 games this year. And in his career, he's got 22 home runs in 180 games. So he's got a tiny bit of power. He's an okay hitter at 228, but he's basically a versatile defensive player. So unless something changes in the next few minutes, it's looking like the Phillies walked out of the deadline with Michael Lorenzen, Rodolfo Castro, and they cut Josh Harrison. I got to tell you guys, I'm incredibly disappointed. By the way, people are confirming now the reports that Bailey Falter has been traded to the Pirates for Rodolfo Castro. Deal is pending physicals, according to multiple reports. So it looks like that's all the Phillies did. Now, again, if something trickles in the next few minutes, I got to tell you guys, I'm incredibly disappointed in the Phillies. I'm incredibly disappointed that looking around the league where pretty much every single team made a deal of some significance today, the one team that you would have hoped would have done something were the Phillies. And it feels like they basically, and this is my reading into it, my interpretation is that the Phillies basically did not want to part with anyone of significance, and they were unwilling to do what was necessary to go out and get basically a good starting pitcher. I'm sorry, a good starting caliber outfielder. They feel that their outfield, as currently constructed, is good enough. And I got to tell you guys, I'm incredibly disappointed for an organization that has shown you in the past, just last year, their willingness to trade people. Remember, last year, they made trades. They got Dave Robertson, they got Noah Syndergaard, they got Brad Marsh. They walked away with 3 players last deadline. And you felt like, look, it wasn't the biggest names in the world, but they gave you guys who fulfilled certain needs. Well, the best they could do was a guy who's batting .277 with a .900 OPS against left-handed pitching. That's Rodolfo Castro as a right-handed hitter. Now, again, I will say, Bob Nightingale apparently tweeted twice now that he expects potentially 5 to 10 more deals to be reported after 6 o'clock. But the Rodolfo Castro news came in minutes before I came on the radio. So this is disappointing. This organization needed a right-handed bat of significance that could play in the outfield. They didn't get Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham is going to Arizona. There were reports of their interest in Teoscar Hernandez, reports of their interest in Adam Duvall, and it looks like they got none of them. And I'm incredibly disappointed. I'm absolutely disgusted that Dave Dombrowski is so entrenched with the players that are in the system right now, that the only guy he was willing to give up was a player who was obviously blocked at the major league level. Again, for those who didn't see, when they acquired Lorenzen earlier from the Tigers, they gave up a player that, frankly, it made sense why you gave him up. All right. I don't even know how to explain. I'm annoyed. I'm incredibly annoyed that the Philadelphia Phillies, for whatever reason, thought that keeping hold of about a gazillion prospects who may never, ever, ever pan out was a better idea than going out and getting help to win right now and next year. That they think that fill-in-the-blank prospects are all going to matter for them in the next several years. I am completely and utterly disgusted and disappointed because we know in sports, baseball prospects don't all work out. It is not as simple as, oh man, all these prospects. I mean, this isn't like the NFL where like you have an idea of a guy gets drafted, he's going to contribute to your team somehow. Like I said, I don't get it. Hao-Yu Lee is the perfect example of why you trade a prospect. You trade a prospect because he has no future for your organization. And what this Phillies team is telling you, and again, I keep scrolling and scanning and looking, but I've seen no other moves aside from Rodolfo Castro after 6 o'clock for the Phillies. What you're telling me is that every prospect in the Phillies minor league system is all going to eventually contribute. I mean, the Marlins have made deals. They just acquired Josh Bell at the deadline. The Marlins made moves. The Mets traded half their team basically today. But for whatever reason, this organization believes that Andrew Painter and Mick Abel and Justin Crawford and Griff McGarry and Johan Rojas and Gabriel Raconces and Alex McFarland and Carlos De La Cruz and Simon Muziani and William Bergoya and I don't know how to say this guy, Aaron Boyd, I think I'll say his name, and Jordan Vilars and Ethan Wilson and Ricardo Perez and Christian McGowan and Andrew Baker and Jaleel Ortiz. That's the top 17 prospects in the Phillies organization, according to MLB Pipeline, that all 17 of those players are going to be part of this team's future. And I call hogwash. There is no way every single one of those prospects is going to help this team in the future. Because one, you already have guys like Alec Bohm and Bryson Stott at the major league level. You already have guys like Ranger Suarez at the major league level who's under 30 years old. You already have guys like Bryce Harper and Trey Turner who are locked into very long-term contracts. There's no way 17 players are going to eventually be part of this roster by the year 2030. So you're telling me that of their top 17 prospects, and there's more beyond that I could list, you're telling me of all their prospects, the only one that was available to be traded was Hao-Yu Lee. Again, I call hogwash. I think Dave Dombrowski and the Phillies have completely botched this deadline. Listen, I'm all good with getting Michael Lorenzen. Michael Lorenzen is a talented pitcher. He adds incredible, legitimate depth to your pitching staff. He's a guy who has history as a bullpen pitcher. He can be a starter. He can do a lot of different things. He's a guy who makes a ton of sense. And furthermore, I mean, you could look at Lorenzo and basically say that this guy is somebody who might be your third or fourth best pitcher, depending on how you want to lay out the rotation. As of right now, it looks like they're going with a 6-man rotation, according to multiple reports. I mean, for goodness sake, the Marlins traded Gene Segura for Josh Bell. The Marlins. No, they acquired 2 players at the deadline. No, they traded 2 players. The Marlins, wow, that's weird. According to reports, the Marlins acquired Josh Bell from the Guardians, but also sent Garrett Cooper to the Padres? Okay, so the Marlins can make deals, but the Phillies couldn't? So the full deal looks like it's Garrett Cooper and Sean Reynolds to the Padres for Ryan Weathers. But the Phillies got Rodolfo Castro. That's the best you could do. I got to hear from you guys. You guys got to help me get myself figured out here at 609-403-0973 on the text board. I am utterly perplexed and distraught that I'm seeing all these other teams make moves, but yet the Phillies couldn't find it in their heart to trade only one of their top 25 prospects before the deadline. Over on the text board, Andrew Summers Point texts in at 609-403-0973 says, Phillies don't even deserve to be talked about right now. Well, here's the problem, Andrew. They're being talked about because it's the MLB trade deadline day. Look, I get your frustration. We've got to talk about it. What went wrong with this team? This team literally told their fan base that we think the future of this organization is more important than winning a World Series this year. To me, that's worth talking about. Steven Ventnor chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says, Josh, you have to understand it. It's a seller's market. They didn't want to overpay for players that won't move the needle. You want to trade more top 10 prospects for Tommy Pham or Adam Duvall? I don't. That's from Steven Ventnor. Well, Steven Ventnor, if you're telling me that you couldn't get Adam Duvall for, let me look for a guy on this list here. Okay, here we go. The 18th overall prospect in the Phillies pipeline, who's projected to not even be in the major leagues until 2026, is Micah Odenbright. You're telling me you can't trade Michael Odenbright, and let me find another guy who's down the road. Okay. Yosar Garcia is projected to come to the major leagues in 2025, according to MLB pipeline. Steven Ventnor, you're telling me that you couldn't trade those two prospects for Adam Duvall. I mean, realistically, one of those prospects should be able to get you Adam Duvall. But I'm not asking you to trade a top 10 prospect, Steven Ventnor. What I'm saying is that there's a whole list of guys. Hans Kraus is the 25th overall prospect. Caleb Ricketts is a catcher. He's the 26th overall prospect. You got Tommy McCollum. This guy is not even available to come up until 24 or 25, according to MLB Pipeline. You're telling me all of these guys nobody wants. We were just told 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, I should say, by Dave Dombrowski that Noah Song is good enough that any team in the major leagues should want that guy. Couldn't trade him. He could have been traded, but you didn't. So Steven Ventnor, I don't buy into your premise. I think you could have gotten somebody for Adam Duvall if you really tried hard enough. But it feels like for whatever reason, the Phillies, you say they don't want to overpay. It doesn't seem like a lot of teams overpaid left and right. There were a couple of teams, from my perspective, that overpaid. I know the Astros overpaid for Justin Verlander, okay? They gave up their number 1 and number 4 prospects. But it doesn't seem like every team overpaid. Now, for all I know, maybe the whole Adam Duvall was kind of a fraudulent pipe dream anyway. You know, the Red Sox, they're, 2.5 games out of the wild card? They're in it still. So maybe they looked at Adam Duvall and said, look, we're not trading him unless we get some significance in return for him. I mean, the Marlins literally traded their number 3 and number 8 hitter who was supposed to hit tonight, according to Matt Gelb. Yet the Phillies couldn't trade the number 20 prospect in their system. And according to reports, because Noah Song was not traded for 6 p.m., he will go through waivers and he will probably go back to the Red Sox, it looks like. Absolutely incredible. The infatuation this organization has with their prospects. All right, this texter didn't leave their name, so we're just going to call them anonymous. Anonymous chimed in at 609-403-0973. Is Josh, you're overreacting. Hernandez, Duvall, and Pham aren't big difference makers. Sometimes the best move is the move not to make. Josh, you don't understand baseball. You don't just make a trade for the sake of making a trade. You sound absolutely ridiculous. Well, first of all, whether I know baseball or not, okay, it's not about finding a guy who's a big difference maker, okay? It's about adding to a team that lacks a lot of right-handed bats. It's about finding players who can be better than Jake Cave, who are right-handed. Now, look, I'm with you. I didn't want to Oscar Hernandez, okay? That guy strikes out more than Kyle Schwarber does. I have zero interest in Hernandez. But Duvall and Pham are both guys who have shown the ability to be good hitters, not great hitters, but solid to good hitters who can play good defense. And you could have gotten either one of them. And you contradict yourself because you say that they're not difference makers, but then you say you can't get Adam Duvall for a 25th overall prospect. We're not talking about video game trades here. I'm not asking to trade, I don't know, who's on this prospect list. I'm not asking to trade Simone Musiati for Mike Trout here. It's Adam Duvall. He's like 34, 35 years old. He's a part-time position player. You're telling me that Rodolfo Castro is going to bring more to this team than Adam Duvall or Tommy Pham can? We literally don't know who's playing left field and first base from now until the end of the season. But I'm supposed to believe that you couldn't get someone of consequence. I'm not talking about a major player. I'm talking about a player who can give you something. Maybe that's why you didn't put your name on the text, because you sound ridiculous. At least Steven Ventnor and Andrew and Summers Point put their names on their text at 609-403-0973. I'll stick your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how the Phillies walk out of the deadline with Michael Lorenzen and Rodolfo Castro. Tell me how you guys are feeling. 609-403-0973 is the text board. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on a Tuesday night. Exasperated on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Every piece of land has a story. The Upshaw's right there is with a John Deere 1 Series tractor they call Penny.
When your project comes up, you have to just jump in and figure out what is it going to take.
From front loader to backhoe, the Upshaws have the tools to DIY all day long. Run with us on a 1 Series tractor and start telling your story. Get $1,000 off a 1025R tractor and 0% APR fixed rate for 60 months. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 855-633-2315.
DQ presents How to Fancy Up Any Occasion. Step 1, grab the Caramel Fudge Cheesecake Blizzard from DQ. Step 2, break out your fanciest sweatpants and park yourself in your comfiest chair. Step 3, kick back and bask in the luxury of salted caramel, rich fudge, and decadent cheesecake pieces blended in world-famous DQ soft serve. Fancy? Achieved. No formalware required. DQ. Happy tastes good.
Are you getting hit hard by low trade offers?
Ouch! That was a blindside. That's a personal foul.
Don't get blindsided by low trade offers. Bring any trade to Matt Platt Kia. Just because you don't see your new Kia on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving it home tomorrow. Select from hundreds of new and certified Kias.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
Matt Platt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details.
Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait, text PLACE to 200-300.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. Have you been to Trio North Wildwood yet? They're open every day except Tuesday, and there's a new Taste of Trio menu from 5 to 5:30 Sunday through Friday with an amazing 3-course meal for just $45 per person. Trio is chef-driven, BYOB, bridging the gap between bar food and fine dining. Try Trio North Wildwood with reservations on Resi, 700 New Jersey Avenue in North Wildwood. TrioNW.com.
Deodorant you use on your butt? You heard that right. I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, founder of Lumi Whole Body Deodorant. It's time to summer-proof your body odor. Lumi's formula works everywhere. Pits, underboobs, and yep, butts too. All those places that naturally tend to get a little bit stinky when the weather gets hot. Lumi's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours. That's 3 whole days of fresh fun in the sun. As an OBGYN, I met thousands of women looking for a better way to control odor below the belt. So I created Lumi, a pH-optimized, aluminum-free deodorant that actually works, with over 150,000 5-star reviews to prove it. Ready for your freshest summer ever? Head to LumiDeodorant.com to get started.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 26 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a free product of your choice and ships free with code 26. LumeDeodorant.com, code 26 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 26.
Hey, this is Josh from 97.3 ESPN. If your air conditioning isn't keeping you cool, or if you're worried about sky-high electric bills, I recommend you call Jenkins Home Heating today about standard heating and air conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing of up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. New AC system can save you 25 to 35% on your AC bill. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6440, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
You're listening to Game with Josh Hennig on ESPN and the free mobile app.
Well, still no new news on the Phillies as we are kind of getting to the point where it looks like they're not going to make any real move. And I'm not a fan of this. By the way, the Dodgers just acquired Ryan Yarbrough from the Royals because, apparently the Phillies don't want to make any more trades. I just don't buy into this idea that the Phillies think that Rojas coming up, Pache coming back from an injury are worthwhile additions. Because none of those guys are hitting a bunch of home runs to finish the year. Adam Duvall, I believe, is 9 home runs in 44 games? I can double check. I believe he has 9 home runs in a small number of games this year. Let's see here. 9 home runs in 45 games. Sorry, I was 1 off. That's more power production than potentially what Rojas or Pache are going to give you as right-handed hitters. I mean, I just don't understand the rationalization that the organization keeps trying to tell us that the team as currently constructed is good enough. Tommy Pham had 10 home runs in 79 games this year. It's about the idea that the Phillies keep trying to convince us and everyone else that they think the team is good enough. And I just have a ton of trouble accepting that reality. Because unless Trey Turner has a major turnabout, unless Bryce Harper just suddenly starts blasting a bunch of home runs, unless Nick Castellanos is going to hit 300 for the month of August and September like he did for the months of April through June, unless I'm trying to think of another guy off the top of my head. I mean, those are the 3 main guys I feel like. But unless Kyle Schwarber is going to start hitting for a higher batting average and even better on base percentage than what he's been doing, unless all those things happen, this team is not winning a World Series. If the goal is to win a championship, then that's what you got to do. If the goal is to just make the postseason and try again next year, then you should have just said that. And I'm sorry to Tom and Galloway. He says, grow up, Josh, learn baseball. Well, Tom and Galloway, just because you and I don't agree doesn't mean I don't know baseball. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and just be a cheerleader for the Phillies. Okay. It's not my job to get on this microphone on 97.3 ESPN FM on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. It is not my job to say everything the organization does. It's great. It's wonderful. I love Michael Lorenzen. Rodolfo Castro's. I'm not supposed to be some cheerleader. I got to be honest. Tommy Galloway, maybe the Phillies are paying, your mortgage or something. I don't know. But some of us believe that an executive like Dave Dombrowski that has taken not one, not two, not three, but 4 organizations to the World Series, and one of those years he acquired Anibal Sanchez and Omar Infante, and they were both major keys to that team for the Tigers going to the World Series. Is it hard for me to believe that he could have done the same thing this time? This is the guy who went out and got Darren Dalton in 97 for the Marlins. In 2023, he couldn't get you Darren Dalton. He couldn't get you Omar Infante. He couldn't get you Steven Pence. Sorry, was it Steven Pierce? Steven Pence. Now I'm forgetting the guy's name. I think it was Steven Pierce. Steven Pierce. That guy was the World Series MVP. They acquired him at the deadline to the Red Sox. Did Dave Dombrowski. All that guy Steve Pierce did was go out there and win the World Series MVP for an entire playoff run. He was arguably one of their best hitters. Well, how am I supposed to know that Adam Duvall couldn't have been this team's Steven Pierce? How do I know that somebody out there couldn't have been this team's version of the players that Dombrowski acquired in the past? So no, what's your name? Tommy Galloway. I don't have to grow up and learn baseball, because I feel I'm just well enough in tune with baseball and its history to understand the game. Just because you don't agree with me doesn't mean that I'm not knowing things. I'm not here to be a cheerleader. I'm here to be objective. I don't get on this microphone to kiss butt. I get on this microphone because I have the privilege and the opportunity to talk sports and convey information and have fun with you guys out there listening on 97.3 ESPN. If I had to give a grade to the Phillies right now, I'm going to go a C+. Because I think that getting Michael Lorenzen was a really good move, in that he is going to allow this team to put a little less strain on the guys they've been leaning on so heavily this year. And because Lorenzen is 31 years old, he's been around the league long enough that he understands what it takes to pitch at the major league level. He's not the best pitcher in baseball. He's not going to be one of your 3 best pitchers in the postseason. But frankly, he's probably a better pitcher than Joe Blanton was. And we saw what Joe Blanton did for the 2008 Phillies. So I think that Lorenzen is a good pitcher. He's having arguably the best year of his career at this point in time. He's not a big strikeout guy. So don't expect to see a ton of strikeouts from him during his time here in Philadelphia. But he is somebody who has shown you the last couple years since he left Cincinnati, and who knows, being in Cincinnati may have just doomed him, maybe a bad experience for him. But since leaving Cincinnati, this guy has accumulated over the last 2 seasons a 3.90 ERA between the Angels and the Tigers. Between the Angels and the Tigers, this guy has allowed only 88 earned runs in 203 1/3 innings. And his total whip over the last 2 years is 1.18. He doesn't give up a ton of runs. He doesn't give up a bunch of home runs. And you look over his last 5 starts, all but one of those starts, he got you at least 5 innings pitched. So if you're going to go to a 6-man rotation and you're going to try to stretch things out, take a little less pressure off the bullpen, take a little less pressure off of Wheeler and Nola and Suarez and Walker, then it's a good move. But Rodolfo Castro? Really? That was the best you could walk away with at the second move? That's why it's a C+. Because Lorenzen is good. And Castro is a very good option against left-handed pitchers. And he's basically a younger, better version of Josh Harrison at this point. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of what this team did. They could have done so much more. They could have done so much better. And watching every other team in Major League Baseball make all these moves, including the Marlins, who you're playing tonight, and then to see your Philadelphia Phillies go out there and basically walk away with the shrugged shoulders out of the deadline. By the way, I'm seeing on social media, apparently Rodolfo Castro is the guy whose cell phone fell out of his pocket in the middle of a game last year. Great. So we acquired a younger version of Josh Harrison, who also happens to be a numbskull. Great. This is just beautiful. This is just great. It's great to know that this is what the Phillies thought was a good idea. Jeff in Ocean City chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says, I'm looking for 7 innings out of Ranger Suarez, saying 3 hits from Stott. What do you think? Well, I don't know how about the Stott hits, Jeff in Ocean City. Sandy Alcantara's actually been pitching very well since July 1st. So I don't know how many hits the Phillies are going to get tonight. Ranger might go deep because pretty much the Marlins traded half their team to make it better. They traded Gene Segura, who wasn't hitting well, and they got Josh Bell. They actually traded 2 players who could have started tonight. So I like Ranger to have a good night tonight. I just don't know how many runs or hits Phillies going to get off of Sandy Alcantara. Alcantara, he has been way better recently. This is a guy who was so bad to start the year that he looked like he could do nothing right. He looked like he completely lost the Cy Young form he had. Well, you know what he did in the month of July? He found that form again. All right. This guy went from having a 5 or higher ERA for more than half the season to then the month of July having a 3.31 ERA and going out there and allowing 34 hits in 32 and 2/3 innings. So he looks a lot better recently. Now, maybe the Phillies can say, hey, we've seen him already once this year. We could take advantage of him. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe that's the theory. Yeah, if you go through the first 2 months of the season, Alcantara had a 4.93 ERA. Yeah. So he's pitching way better right now. So I don't know how I feel about the Stott hits, but I like Ranger going deep tonight. All right, we'll pivot away from the Phillies here. Obviously, I'm frustrated, and I hope the Phillies have a great month with Rodolfo Castro and Michael Lorenzen. Welcome to the Philadelphia, guys. Coming to the other side, some Eagles talk in the NFL here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. The Eagles, they put the pads on in camp today, and it's looking more and more like the offense may have made a change, an adjustment, something a little different. I'll tell you what that is coming up next on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennick hanging out with you on the first day of August 2023.
Hi, this is Billy Schwein from The Locker Room. Join me and former Chief of the Longport Beach Patrol, Dan Adams, and former Lieutenants of the Ocean City Beach Patrol, John McShane and Jack Brooks, this Friday for 97.3 ESPN's live coverage of the 2023 Margate Memorial Lifeguard Championships from the beach in Margate.
97.3 ESPN's live coverage of the 2023 Margate Memorial Lifeguard Races is brought to you by Leeds Builders of Margate, building beautiful homes by the sea for over 30 years. McCann Realtors of Sea Isle City. Experience the McCann difference. Family owned and operated since 1939. Blitz's Market, located at 21st and Asbury in Ocean City, voted Best Deli 7 years running, now serving freshly squeezed orange juice. And by the famous Dino's Subs and Pizza of Margate, open since 1964, located at 8016 Ventnor Avenue in Margate. Live coverage of the 2023 Margate Memorial Lifeguard Races this Friday at 6 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN.
Matt Blatt Kia wants to give you independence. Yes, independence. Like freedom from down payments.
I got approved with 0 down.
Freedom from high interest rates.
I got 2.49% for 72 months.
Freedom from overpriced new vehicles.
I got $6,000 off MSRP.
But most important, freedom from your old car.
I was told I was stuck in my lease. Matt Blatt Kia got me released.
Low 2.49% financing up to 72 months on every new EV in stock and 0 down on every Kia in stock. Plus, get $6,000 off MSRP on every new Kia EV in stock. Finance your future, not your past. Even first-time buyers can drive with peace of mind with our exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, not all will qualify. Go to mattblackkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF, Kia Niro, and EV. 635 customer cash plus 2250 dealer discount off MSRP. Expires 8/5/23. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
As a dentist, I know what my patients are saying. She says her gums have been bleeding. Is there anything you can do? Try New Crest Gum Detoxify and Restore. It's professionally designed to start healing gums from day one.
Crest.
Hey, this is Josh from 97.3 ESPN. If your air conditioning isn't keeping you cool, or if you're worried about sky-high electric bills, I recommend you call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing of up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. New AC system can save you 25 to 35% on your AC bill. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6440, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sail into summer in New Jersey. Stroll boardwalks or soar high on the rides. Enjoy iconic shores, history, and culture, from dazzling cities to charming countryside. Find it all at visitnj.org.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennick on ESPN, the free mobile app.
Keep the text coming in as we have a final segment of the hour. 609-403-0973 is the text board. How the Eagles' offense might look differently this year. Well, it's not a major difference, but it's enough of a difference that might change how Jalen Hurts stats at the end of the year. Here's how. So, at practices, it's looking more and more like the Eagles are starting to introduce the idea of throwing to the running back. Now, I told you guys yesterday on the sports match where I was filling in for Mike Gill about how last year, Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell combined for fewer passing targets received than DeAndre Swift. And Swift didn't even play the full season. So think about what that means. You have now officially acquired a guy in Swift who is a major weapon. This weapon has to be used correctly. And part of using that weapon correctly is admitting that you have a guy that you can use for the passing. And I think that is the biggest takeaway I have for the one. It looks like that this organization is saying we are going to try to get the next evolution of this offense. We are going to grow this offense. And by growing the offense, you're telling Jalen Hurts you have another player to throw to. So now, option one, A.J. Brown. Option two, the Devontae Smith. Option three is Dallas Goedert. And option 4 and 5, instead of being slot receiver, tuck the ball and run, can be DeAndre Swift and slot receiver. You are now kicking Jalen Hurts run the ball down to the 6th option instead of the 4th or 5th option. So now you're taking Jalen Hurts out of harm's way of getting hit as often while running around. Even though he's done a very good job in his career at avoiding taking major hits, some of the worst hits he has had have been in the pocket or when he's run power QB. It's not been when the organization has asked him to create on his own. He hasn't entered many of those situations. But there is certainly a chance now that Jalen Hurts can grow as a passer. Because no matter what your perspective on Jalen Hurts was last year, the truth is that there was one thing about his style of play last year that was a little problematic. And that was he walked away from the season with only 22 passing touchdowns. Now, he has incrementally thrown more passing touchdowns each year of his NFL career. And he has incrementally become a better passing quarterback with a higher completion percentage and more passing yards total and more passing yards per attempt, more passing yards per game, better quarterback rating, right? He has gotten better in all these different numbers. But the passing touchdowns at 22 was always going to be a problem. Because when you look at the NFL stat leaders from last year, you realize that 22 passing touchdowns really is not a lot. It was a lot maybe like in 1978 or 1983 for certain people, but not in today's game. In fact, Jalen Hurts' 22 is so low that he didn't even crack the top 10. Your top 10 quarterbacks in terms of pass touchdowns last year were Patrick Mahomes, 41, Josh Allen, 35, tied with Joe Burrow at 35. Then Geno Smith at 30. Yeah, Geno Smith had 30 pass touchdowns last year. Kirk Cousins, 29, tied with Jared Goff at 29. Aaron Rodgers, 26. That was with Aaron Rodgers with garbage for an offense last year. Tom Brady had a horrible year. He had 25 last year. So did Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, and Tua Tagovailoa. And Tua played less games than Jalen Hurts did. So Jalen Hurts had 3 less passing touchdowns than anybody else ahead of him. And it's not because Jalen Hurts played poorly last year. He had the 4th best passer rating in the NFL last year. He was 10th in the NFL in passing yards, but the passing touchdowns were down. And that was the overarching issue. The overarching issue was that he was not in a position to throw enough passing touchdowns. So what did he do? There were a lot of games that he had to run the ball. He had to run that sneak. He had to put the ball in the end zone with his legs. Over the last 2 seasons, he has 23 rushing touchdowns. So he has more rushing touchdowns over the last 2 years than he did passing the ball last year in the year where he was second in the NFL in MVP voting. And I think that's a big reason why DeAndre Swift is here. I think DeAndre Swift in this offense, as Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson have led on to the media, he is here to be another weapon in this passing offense. The Eagles don't want to be a heavy run team. They do not want to be a team that runs the ball first and passes the ball second. It's not in what they want to do. What they want to do is throw the ball first, run the ball second. And because that is their overall plan, that's why DeAndre Swift is probably going to have a larger role in this offense than we realized. I think that we don't appreciate the fact that this organization doesn't just believe in Jalen Hurts as the leader of their offense. They believe in Jalen Hurts' work ethic to become a better quarterback for this offense. And becoming a better quarterback for this offense, I think, is a huge step forward for this organization, because now the organization becomes that much better, the offense becomes that much more dynamic, and the quarterback keeps growing. And don't forget, Jalen Hurts, he turns 25 years old in 6 days. He's still young, he's still developing, he's still evolving as a quarterback and as a player. And as we saw in college, Jalen Hurts has been on a trajectory of just getting better every single year, pretty much his entire football life. This is a guy who was one of the top mobile quarterbacks in all of college football when he got to Alabama. But by the time he got to and left Oklahoma, he was one of the best in college football at passing the ball as well. He was a Heisman Trophy finalist. He had a 69.7% completion percentage his 1 year at Oklahoma, his final year in college. This is a guy who his best year at Alabama was 23 passing touchdowns. Oklahoma was 32. His most passing yards at Alabama was 2,780. Oklahoma got to 38.51. And in today's NFL, where these coaches and these players are probably playing at a higher level than ever before, I'm telling you folks right now, there is a chance that Jalen Hurts is even better this upcoming season. That Jalen Hurts has a better season in terms of scoring and passing and all the intangibles that he brings to the table, because we already know what he's capable of. And what he's capable of is saying, hey, I can go out there and help you win games. If your goal is to win a championship, I'm your quarterback. Follow me to the promised land. And he got you right there, but the Eagles defense couldn't do their job. You know, the Eagles offense did their job in the most important game of the year. The Super Bowl, yeah. The Eagles offense did their job. It was the Eagles defense that didn't get the job done. And I think that is where Jalen Hurts, he says, look, I can only control what I can control. My offense scored 35 points in the biggest game of the year, and we lost. Well, it's time for me to get back to work. And even though in Jalen's mind, he's aware that he didn't lose that game by himself. There's also a part of him that says, if I could have just got myself one more touchdown, one more scoring opportunity, I would have won that game. That's the difference. I'm Josh Henning. This is Game Night 97.3 ESPN. We are back on the Game Night schedule for the rest of the week. Have a great night, everybody. I'll catch you tomorrow at 6 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget to check out 973ESPN.com, 973 ESPN mobile app for the latest on the Eagles, Phillies, and more.
You have the choice. Whether it's going out to dinner or ordering takeout at a local restaurant or buying that new outfit from a local boutique, those choices help to put money back into your community. And Town Square Media South Jersey puts a spotlight on local businesses. Comfort Now by Bob McAllister. Improve the comfort in your home. Call 609-400-1005 and ask about discounts, rebates, incentives. Online at iwantcomfortnow.com. East Coast Roofing, Siding, and Windows serves all of South Jersey. If you call, they'll show up. Call East Coast today at 609-646-1444. Online at eastcoastroofing.com. Sweetwater Marina and River Deck, located on the historic Mullica River, is nothing short of amazing. Visit sweetwaterriverdeck.com for more information. Thank you for supporting these great local businesses from Town Square Media South Jersey.